want to do a little rust repair video. I'm going to use my daughter's car here. That car is probably not worth the repair we're going to do on it. But she's in college, and I'd like this car to see her through college. It's very low mileage and really in good shape except for that. It's a Mazda Protege, and they all rust there. So there was a previous repair that was done by a dealership, and we'll see that later. Now, rust bubbles, anybody that tells me rust bubble, there's just a little bubble here and there and it's not much rust. I mean, it's always rusted through, because basically a bubble is when humidity from the back of the metal, so it goes through the metal and goes under the paint and lifts the paint, and that's basically, a good sign that, there's a serious rust problem there. There's no such thing as a benign bubble. This is the part we're going to use to replace it. It's basically just a dog leg. It's about $50. They don't make anything else than that in the aftermarket. The rest would have to come from Mazda. It would be too expensive. This is a shelf that Mazda put there. I don't know why. Stuff accumulates there and just never dries, so that's why it rusts. So that's a previous repair that was done by the dealership. I mean, it's a shame, really. They took the same part as I bought and just cut out just the wheel lip there and just glued it on top of the old rust and slapped some body filler on top of it. And that was basically called it a day. They charged the lady, $1,500 for that repair. I mean, it really is a shame. So naturally, the only way to repair rust is to actually remove it and find yourself some good metal and attach your new sheet metal onto that good remaining metal. You can't weld into rust. I mean, if you weld into rust, if there's any rust left, it'll just fade away as you try to weld it and just create holes and holes. It just won't hold. So the discovery process is basically you remove it one small layer at a time and until you hit something solid. And naturally, you always know when you start, but you don't really know when the whole thing is going to end. So that's why commercially, I mean, there's no money to be made in those types of repairs, and I actually never do them for money. I only do them on older cars and car restorations and stuff. But a show car would not be done this way. I mean, it would be done a very different way. So now there's a lot of rust inside as we go in. We're going to have to sandblast all of that. Anything that's solid will remain. Anything that is, not solid after sandblasting will be removed and cut up and replaced. Inside the wheel well, I mean, you have to fabricate the insides of the wheel well, and we'll see that a little later. Now I'm just trying to fit my part. So I decided to trim under the gas filler door. And I used a flanger on the car, and that creates a flange that on which the part will rest and we'll be able to weld. Naturally, you can't flange a corner, so corners have to be fitted so that they sit flush, and they'll have to be butt welded. But the rest will sit on a flange and will be an overlap weld, which is much easier to do. And on the dog leg here, I'm just going to basically just overlap, and we'll smooth it out afterwards. I mean, again, this is a functional repair, not a pretty repair, but it won't be visible that it was repaired from the outside. Now, from inside the wheel well, naturally we've discovered more rust. This is not surprising, but adds to the time it takes to actually repair. So we're going to have to cut all of that out and basically just hack some metal until we recreate the part It's not going to be pretty, but it's going to be, you know, functional. There's the part with some epoxy primer on top and some seam sealer in the welds. Again, you know, you want the welds to be sealed so that if there's any pinholes that remains, it's not going to go into your seam. Here's a part of the inner wheel well that I've recreated, and this is going to be the foundation for our epoxy-based fiberglass that we're going to do inside of the wheel well to finish it up. So basically, I build a shell out of metal, and then I use some fiberglass cloth with some West System boat epoxy. This stuff is about 160 bucks a gallon, but it's that epoxy resin is very good. Anytime you grind something you know that you're not going to be able to get to with paint, you should spray it with cold galvanizing spray, which is a zinc-rich spray. You can weld through that stuff. It's over 90% zinc, so it'll prevent rust in those seams afterwards. So fast forward after the welded and grind. So now we just have to fill it, and before filling it, I'll use a spot blaster and I'll sandblast the entire weld just to remove any carbon deposit or any deposits in there, so the filler will actually stick in the weld. We use the first layer of filler is right over the weld, and that's a waterproof filler. It's a fiberglass filled filler. We use Everglass for that. You can use all metal also, any waterproof filler. Again, you know, that's going to fill the pinholes and make sure that there's no humidity that actually will traverse the metal and go under your paint and start the bubbles and start the whole process again. So once sanded, now fast forward, I did the epoxy in here. Now the cloth is pretty transparent, but you can see the idea that, you know, I rebuild the inside with the fiberglass cloth instead of having to form the metal to this whole thing. So there we go. It's body filler done, and primer done and sanded. The car in the paint booth for a little paint. So to recapitulate, anytime you do some rust repair, you have to cut out the rust that's there and basically weld good metal on it. Or if you're going to use fiberglass, the preferred method is to use an epoxy resin and not a polyester resin, and get a good foundation for it. Anything you do on top of rust will not last very long. So even if you do some epoxy in there, or even some fiberglass, you should remove all rust before that. Now the first part of the rocker was repaired, so we've put some gravel guard that does the equalize the profile of the rocker. And here, fast forward to clear coat. When we get to that point, it means our job is done. It's a lot of fun. So that's it. That's rust repair. If you have any questions, just post them as questions, and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. Thank you.